Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar. And in this video, it's going to be the last video for the Dispossessed until they get an update. So it's their army video, and we will be looking at the heroes in this part 3. So, there's not too many heroes for the Dispossessed, so this one's going to be quite short, if I'm honest, unfortunately. However, we'll go into what heroes they have. So, the first one we're going to look at is the Unforged. So, who exactly are the Unforged? Well, the Unforged have their minds broken by their encounters with chaos and are dedicated to the hardest and most destructive life of battle. Having unfortunately survived for so long against breathtaking odds, they must seek out the most deadly and ferocious monstrosities. Okay, it's just a little bit of lore there, but that's all we really got on them, but it gives you an idea. They're basically like slayers. So, looking at them in the game, so they are obviously a leader, being a hero, and they're going to cost you 100 points. So obviously not an expensive hero, but you know, so that means don't expect too much from this guy. So looking at his war scroll, it says description, so an Unforged, it's a single model. The Unforged march to seek their doom in battle and armed with a pair of runic axes. So it's stats, looking at his will first, so it's got a 4-inch movement, it's got a 6+ save, bravery 10, 5 wounds, standard movement, save of a 6+. I mean, the only thing you can say is at least it's got a save, but yeah, that's not very good at all. Bravery 10, that is really good. Obviously, that's fantastic, as good as it can be. And 5 wins for a little guy. It's better. You know, like, we always sort of think like heroes are minimum size. You know, like 5 wounds at least. However, there are times, like, especially looking at some Skaven ones and some Grot ones, they can be 4 wounds. So it is always good to see that it is at least 5 wounds here. As for example, 5 wounds is the same as a Vampire Lord on a steed, so it just gives you a bit of perspective. Right, okay, and then you're actually going into its melee weapon, so it's got 1, and that's a runic axis, so it's 1-inch range, 6 attacks, freeze to hit, freeze to win, master from rend, 1 damage. Quite a standard attack there, but good to hit into win casters. Again, it's got a rend, which is nice. And then going into the ability, so the runic axis, the Unforged launches a deadly flurry of blows. You can reroll all hit rolls of 1 for the Unforged. Okay, so it just makes it a bit more reliable with his attacks. He's making 6 attacks, so you might be re-rolling quite a few of those dice. And then the next ability, which is Epic Death Blow. So if an Unforged is slain in the combat phase, roll a dice before it is removed. On a roll of 4 or more, you can inflict D3 mortal wounds on the enemy unit that struck the fatal blow, or inflict D6 mortal wounds instead if a Chaos model struck the final blow. Okay, so that's pretty good. That sort of gives you more of a reason to take this guy, because you got, if you're going against Chaos, you got maybe a chance of doing D6 mortal wounds against them. But it's on a 4. It's on a 4-up, isn't it? So it's quite hard to do. It's a 50-50, obviously. You know, some games this will never happen, of course. But it's a nice little touch there. Like he basically just, well, it's called an epic death blow. Basically, just goes crazy and starts hacking things to pieces. Similar to for like the big stabbers for the bone splitters. That's what it reminds me of. And then its next ability is Nemesis. So attacks made by an Unforged inflict double damage against Chaos units. Okay, so this suddenly makes this guy very much better. If you know you're fighting against a Chaos player, this guy's making 6 attacks, freeze to hit, freeze to win. Bear in mind he's re-rolling 1s to hit. So bear in mind, like I said, that's 6 attacks, hit on freeze, re-rolling 1s, win on freeze, master on rend, and 2 damage if it's against Chaos units. And it's not even just against Chaos heroes, it's Chaos in general. So that is really nice to see there. And then the last ability is the bigger they are. So you can add 1 to any wound rolls for an Unforged if the target of the attack has a wound characteristic more than 1. Okay, again, so if you're targeting this against even things like Chaos Heroes, but like Chaos Warriors, for an example, Blood Warriors, whatever, Zangors, those sorts of things, just have more than 1 wound. If that is the case, then you've got an attack characteristic of 6 attacks, freeze to hit, reroll and failed hit rolls of 1, wounded on 2s, -1 rend, and 2 damage. This guy suddenly becomes a lot better, especially for 100 points in those sort of circumstances. Like I say, those sort of circumstances, most Chaos armies are going to come across this. All those abilities are going to go off, so that is good. And then the keywords, he's got Order, Durden, Dispossessed, Hero, and Unforged. And yeah, so that's the Unforged. To be honest, like first time reading through this war scroll, well, better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be one of those nifty sort of heroes. But if you're going against, if you don't know what army you're fighting against, this guy is obviously a bit of hit and miss, isn't he? If you're not fighting against Chaos, he's not going to be that amazing. He's just going to be, alright. If you're going against Chaos, this guy, I would say, is definitely worth taking if you can fit him in your list, because the damage potential he can do is a lot, quite frankly. Even if you go against, I don't know, a Skaven army and they're all like 1 wound model sort of things, just send this guy against the enemy heroes. Yeah, he's only got a 6+ save, and he hasn't got any ward saves, like any more wound saves, anything like that. And his epic death blow only happens in the combat phase, so the enemy might just go, oh, just going to shoot this guy off the board, because easily as soon as they send -1 rend at this guy, he's not getting a save, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, he could die and shoot him really easily. However, the enemy's probably going to have bigger priorities to shoot at in your army than this guy. So yeah, playing against Chaos Army, I'd definitely say take this guy out and give him a go, and he definitely has the potential of being really good in those Chaos games. So then moving on to our next one, which is a little bit different from the Unforged, slightly different role, and that is the Rune Lord. So again, he is a leader, of course, being a hero, and he's only going to cost you 100 points. So again, another cheap hero. And looking at its little bit of lore before we go into its war scroll, it says, as custodians of ancient lore, Rune Lords are naturally suspicious and jealously guard the secrets and rituals of their hammercraft. On the battlefield, Rune Lords dampen and channel the magic of their foes, rendering it harmless. They alone have the ability to forge magical items using powerful runes, a skill passed on to a worthy descendant, or taken to the grave. Okay, so that's like a little bit of lore we've got for him there. And then going into his war scroll, his small description just saying a Rune Lord is a single model. He is armed with a rune staff and a forge hammer. So he's got a movement of 4 inches, a save of 4+, a bravery 7, and a 5 wound characteristic. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, movement of 4. Yeah, like we said, that's just army wide really. 4+ save, good. Bravery 7, good, and 5 wounds. Like I say, never underestimate 5 wounds. It's definitely better than 4. And then going on to his melee weapons, so he's got 2, of course. So his rune staff, he's got a 1-inch range, 1 attack, force to hit, freeze wound, no rend, and D3 damage. And then his forge hammer, he's got a 1-inch range, 2 attacks, force to hit, force to wound, no rend, and 1 damage. So yeah, his attacks aren't amazing, but this guy's he's not a wizard, but he's sort of like a wizard. So considering that, compared to most wizards, he's pretty good. He gets an extra attack, doesn't he, with his forge hammer. So his ability, so Runes of Spellbreaking. A Rune Lord can attempt to unbind one enemy spell in the enemy hero phase as if it was a wizard. You can add 2 to the unbinding rolls for a Rune Lord. Okay, so that makes him very good. I think that puts him like on par with Arcan on unbinding. So yep, that's good for a 100-point model. And then we have the Rune Lord. So in your hero phase, a Rune Lord can pray to the ancestor gods to imbue his allies' weapons and armor with power. If he does so, pick a dispossessed unit within 16 inches, select a power and roll a dice. On a 1, the Rune Lord has failed, nothing happens. On a roll of a 2 or more, the runes hammered into his allies' war gear glow white hot with rune magic and power takes effect. Okay, so the 2 that you've got is the Ancestral Shield. So until your next hero phase, you can roll a dice whenever a model in this unit suffers a wound or mortal wound. On a 6-up, that wound or mortal wound is ignored. So you're basically giving them a death save. I've always talked about why death save is really good. It's basically you saving a 6th of all damage. So yes, that is definitely good, especially if you think that unit's going to take a lot of hit. It's definitely quite a good one to put on. And then the second one is Forge Fire. Until your next hero phase, increase the rend characteristic of the unit's weapons by 1, i.e. if he had no rend, it would become -1, or if they have -1 rend already, it becomes -2, and so on. So this is good because I already talked about the Crawlers, how you got a unit of 30 of them, they're effectively making 60 shots in the shooting phase, given -1 rend. When my opponent's done this to me in the past, and I have a big block of skeletons, the skeleton shields give them +1 to their save if they're going against damage that has no rend to it. So essentially they've got a 6-up save, these skeleton warriors, and then if there's no rend to the attacks against them, they get +1 to their save. However, if there's rend to their attacks, their 6-up save goes to a no save. So he was able to delete a lot of skeletons with 60 shots. Bear in mind, I wasn't getting any save bar my Deathless. So that's just a little example of how that can be given with the Chorus. And then with the Thunderers, you're making their rend -2. With the Iron Drakes, you're making their rend -2 again, and that's even better for them. So yeah, this guy is definitely taken just for that rune alone, and then maybe another one to put the shield on for sure. And even this guy, just for unbinding purposes, is good, especially how I've already talked about how important magic is now in 2nd edition, how much of a big part it plays. If you can't do magic in your army, you have to put something in place if you can to counter magic. You can't just let it sit by and go, oh well, I can't do it, I'm not really going to bother too much about trying to stop it. You have to, otherwise it's really going to ruin your day. Obviously, if you can do it, and this army can with this guy for sure. And this guy basically works as your priest for the army. However, his priest's prayers go on a 2+ rather than a 4+, so I think is the norm for most of them. And unlike the evil ones, essentially like your slaughter priest, your plague priest, those sorts of things, if you roll 1, nothing happens, so that's all good. And then his keywords, he's got order, duodone, dispossessed, hero, priest, and rune lord. So obviously he's a hero, but priest is a keyword there for when the dispossessed eventually get their battle tome, or dwarves get a battle tome, however it's going to work out. We'll probably have prayers put into that book, so it's worth noting that for the priest keyword there. So yeah, I do like the Rune Lord, and I would say he is a auto-include in your Dispossessed army. Obviously I don't play Dispossessed, so this is only from a perspective of someone who's basically observing the war scrolls and stuff, but I think this guy looks like he should be in your army. Like I said, the Unforged was good, and especially really good against Chaos, but I feel like this guy just adds, well, he adds synergy compared to the Unforged, so he's more essential. That's my thought on him anyway. So going on to our last hero. Unfortunately, the Dispossessed, like I said, only have 3 heroes. So moving on to our last one, but certainly not least, of course, as he is the Warden King. So when battle is joined, it is the Warden King with their finely crafted armour and rune-inscribed weapons who seek out the enemy's most powerful combatants, matching bestial fury or dark magic with courage, honour and honest steel. So that's all we've really got for the lore for the Warden King. I know it sounded like it was going to lead on to something, but unfortunately that's all the lore we've got at the moment. So going into its rules though, which at least it has got in Age of Sigmar, then moving swiftly on to it in the game. So it is going to cost you 120 points, and obviously it's a leader, so the most expensive hero for the Dispossessed, but 120 point hero is not particularly expensive. And then going into its war scroll and reading its description, it says, so Warden King is a single model. They wield a rune weapon in one hand and an ancestral shield in the other. Warden Kings also march to war with an oath, stone upon which they defiantly stand to inspire their fellow warriors. Okay, and then going into its stats, so its will, we've got a 4-inch movement, a 4+ save, bravery 8 and 5 wounds, so exactly the same as what we saw before. However, it's got bravery 8 rather than bravery 7, so that's good. Its melee weapons, like it's only got 1, it's a rune weapon. It's got a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze to hit, freeze to wound, -1 red and D3 damage, so not bad, respectable. Yeah, that's not too bad. Good to hit and to win caches, and it's got D3 damage, so yeah, what's not to like about it? Not a beast in combat, but can handle himself essentially. And let's look at the abilities. So the Ancestral Shield, so you can reroll failed save rolls for a Warden King, so it's got a 4-up save reroll and failed save, so that's very good. And then the Oath Stone, so in the hero phase, a Warden King can stand upon his Oath Stone to increase the resolve of his followers. If he does so, he cannot move until his next hero phase, but all Dispossessed units from your army within 18 inches in the Battle Shock phase may use the Warden King's bravery instead of their own. So again, another way to increase your bravery and less chance of you guys running in the Battle Shock phase, which that is literally the Dispossessed thing. I mean, there's so many things that they're missing in the army, but they've got so many ways to increase their bravery characteristics and so on and make it harder for them to flee, which doesn't sound like much, but some armies really do prey on you having weak bravery and you fall into the Battle Shock phase, which, like I say, my Flare army does, so it has got its uses against some sort of builds. So yeah, that's good. I mean, if your guy's going to stand still, yeah, you might as well put him on this Oath Stone, and he gives that bonus out. Because bravery 8 is good, especially compared to, I think the lowest bravery we've got for the Dispossessed is 6, so you're getting +2 to your bravery essentially for those weaker units. So going on to his last ability, which is his command ability. So Ancestral Grudge. The Warden King uses this ability. Pick a 1 enemy unit within 16 inches. Until your next hero phase, you can add 1 to wound rolls for all attacks made by Dispossessed models that target that unit. Okay, that's good, especially how we're saying there's quite the attack characteristics for the Dispossessed are pretty good, to hit and to wound, so just increasing that across the board is very nice and very good there. So I do like that. And looking at the keywords, we've got Order, Duodon, Dispossessed, Hero and Warden King. So that is the last hero for Dispossessed. I think obviously he's your hero with the command ability. You're going to take the Warden King, aren't you, in your army. He's going to be, well, I say he's going to be a general, but however, he doesn't have to be a general, does he, to use that command ability, but lore-wise, he should be a general, shouldn't he? He's basically, the Dwarf Lord. So yes, that is the last one. Not a bad set of heroes, only 3, but each one of them I see has a purpose. You know, the Unforged is there against Chaos armies. If you're not playing against Chaos, I wouldn't really take him too much. The Rune Lord, I'd say, out of all the heroes, is the one that's definitely worth taking in your list. That's just from my perspective, from what I can see, definitely. When I've played against him, that's the one that's caused me the most trouble. So for sure, I'll definitely put him in. And the Warden King, yeah, he's not bad for 120 points. He adds a bit and synergizes fairly well with the rest of the army, which is nice to see. Especially in an army like some of the smaller armies you've got out there, like Dispossessed, you know, Gutbusters, things like that. There's not too much synergy there, and that's what really makes them lacking. So it's nice to see that Dispossessed have got some here. And with that, the Warden King, that actually ends the series for the Dispossessed. So, yes, it's been quite a nice series doing this. Like I said at the start of this series, that I am not incredibly knowledgeable about the Dispossessed. I made that quite clear. So this was quite new for me, reading and looking into. And so I hope you guys enjoy it from my perspective. And I've enjoyed actually reading up and looking about them. There's actually more to them than I originally thought there were. They're more sort of enticing than I thought they were. And their models are, I have seen them on Tabletop, when you actually like, go through the pictures and stuff online, they are really quite nice in the classic way. And I think they do hold themselves up in Age of Sigmar. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I knew this was one of the armies that you guys sort of cried out for a bit, because they didn't really have much on YouTube at all, really, bar a few videos. Like I said, 2+ has done a couple of good videos on them, which is nice. But they really needed, I just felt a bit more love, rather than giving the love to the Gits that have just came out, or one of the other popular armies. Thought it would be nice to give these guys something. And yeah, so like I said, I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll wait to see what the next army I choose, the Army Archive, will be. It'll probably be another small army, you know, just to give them a bit of love as well, to try and basically, you know, armies in need sort of thing. Whereas you've got, obviously, the really big channels that do fantastic jobs to talk about all the really popular armies, which is great. We need that. But I thought, for a channel like myself, which is obviously a smaller channel, it'd be nice if I give some attention to the armies that don't really have any attention. It'd be nice to just treat them a little bit special. So I hope you guys appreciate that, and I'm rambling on far too long now, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe and comment down below, as that does always really help me. I've noticed there's been quite a few subscribers lately, and that's absolutely great, and I can't appreciate that enough. That is what basically makes me be able to make videos, essentially, is knowing that you guys want to see this. And yeah, so like I say, I hope you've enjoyed this, and until next time, remember, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.